I'd like to thank the Raider fans. They were awesome. Proud of our team. That hurts.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to State of the Nation, the Athletics Raiders podcast. Jimmy Durkin here from the Oakland Coliseum. I will be joined shortly by Vic Tafur. But first, we're going to go over the game a little bit. The Raiders lose 40-33. An entertaining loss here to the Kansas City Chiefs drops them to 2-10. The Chiefs improved to 10-2. And a game that really was decided by turnovers, as the Raiders lost 3 fumbles. Each of their running backs lost a fumble. And you hear John Gruden talking about this is a group that hasn't really had that much of an issue with the fumbles, but they had an issue today.
Well, somebody said it earlier. We hadn't fumbled the ball all year. They're making good runs. I think one of them was on 1st and 10, one of them was on 2nd and 2, and one of them was after a long run. Sometimes when you're in traffic, you gotta put the ball away. It goes on me. It's just another loss, and I'm responsible.
This was the first of what figures to be many opportunities to face off against Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and maybe not at his A game, but still very good. 23 of 38, 295 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He wasn't sacked. Also ran for 52 yards, and he frustrated the heck out of John Gruden.
And you got to really credit that young quarterback. This is his first year starting in the NFL, and he ticked me off today. I mean, you look at the tape. I mean, it's a credit to the guy. I mean, it's he made a 3rd and 15 play. It was right on my sideline. I thought I was outside myself. I was so upset some of the plays he made today. He's scrambling, and I was really proud of our quarterback too. It was a shootout between 2 great young quarterbacks.
Travis Kelce, of course, spectacular again today. 12 catches, 168 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and the connection between him and Mahomes is very good. As you can see, John Gruden sees something special between that duo.
Jesus, he hurt us, obviously. He gets open, man. He can line him up everywhere. He's like our tight end. It was a battle of 2 great tight ends. I thought Cook had over 100 yards today. I didn't think they could stop him today either. But, Kelce and Mahomes, they must live together or something. They just they made some incredible plays. It's a credit to those guys. You can't do anything sometimes but tip your hat. We've
seen a bit in the past this season where John Gruden and Derek Carr have gotten a little fiery on the sidelines in their first year together. Didn't see any of that today, and Derek Carr joked a little bit about it, said he only had to yell at his coach one time. But no, overall, these guys are going to be like that. They're going to argue at times, but they're starting to learn how to work together, and I think we're seeing that come together on the field a little bit more.
Yeah. I only yelled at him once today. No, I'm just kidding. We like I said, he's yelled at me about 27 times this week. And I'm fiery myself, but it's all out of him just trying to get me to this place that he thinks I could go to. And I've told him, I told you guys when he first got hired, and the big thing was, can I handle, him? Well, I get along with him. We've talked about how I'm sometimes, wins, losses, I'm trying to be the same, even though it's hard and all that. That doesn't mean I don't care. It doesn't mean I'm not competitive. And so, it wasn't something that we talked about, but I think that our communication and the level we understand each other. I mean, he's looking at me, he calls a play, and then he sees a sub, and he's about to call someone else, and I just give him a thumbs up. I already know what he wants me to call. So we're building this chemistry, this thing that we have, and so we don't consciously sit down and say, hey, we're not gonna yell at each other anymore. We may do it again. Who knows? I can probably guarantee we'll do it again. But at this point, we had great communication today, and that was good.
One specific area of progress for Derek Carr that we saw is down in the red zone. There was a time where Jordy Nelson was maybe kind of sort of open, but he wasn't all the way open, and Derek Carr, instead of choosing to force the ball in there, threw it away, lived to play another down, and the Raiders eventually scored a touchdown. That was pointed out to Derek, and he was very happy that people noticed that.
100%. I'm glad you saw that, because usually my stupid side, I'll try and force it in there, and I can do, especially in a game like that situation. Now, that's all I give. Thank the Lord, but, I give credit to my coaches, man, because they have drilled me over and over again. Look, it's first down. You don't have to force it. We end up scoring, like you said. So those are things that you take away, and it's like, okay, yes, the coaches are awesome, that it's registering in the middle of the heat of the moment. You don't have to force it, that kind of thing. So I give Coach Gruden, Coach Callahan, Coach Olsen, if I could break down every play, they had all a hand in something that they've taught me or showed me to get better at in that game.
And finally, the mood around this team is much better than where it was maybe a month or so ago. Yes, they're still not winning games, but they are playing better, and they're starting to have a little bit more fun.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's something that I've taken really seriously, just reminding the guys that, hey, when we have fun, we play better. When we're all uptight, worried about what coach is going to say, getting cussed out or yelled at, coming off it, nobody's going to play well doing that. So it's been an emphasis in practice. And so I'm glad that you said that because it's translating to the games. And so obviously no moral victory, but we should play like that no matter what the score is, no matter what our record is. It should be. You want it to always look the same. And so hopefully we can continue to grow that and instill that in our young guys.
All right, now it's time to bring on Vic Tafur. And Vic, a game that this was a 40-33 loss, but this was a game that if you take the expectations that we had coming into it, and then how they played, what the result is, you walk away, considering where the season's going, you walk away feeling pretty good about they played a somewhat entertaining game, and they played hard. They definitely fought to the finish in this game, and I think there's games where I know you've been on them. There's been games where you don't feel like they really fought to the finish. This one they played hard. They really gave their best effort in this game, and I mean, for a team that lacks talent, that doesn't have as much talent as the team that they're going up against, I guess that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Like you said, an entertaining game. I think they came back, they were down 17, cut it to 3, and you could definitely feel the fans definitely getting fired up. And I feel for the fans this year. It's been a rough sell for them this year. I think they've watched some really, really bad games here this year. I think, like you mentioned, the effort's been lacking at times. But today, their guys flying around. Even defense made some plays on defense, which you don't see very often this year. And Carr was doing pretty well. I just think that definitely, if you're a Raiders fan, you leave this game today and you go home in your car, okay, that was a day well spent. I mean, I'm out a bunch of money, but I had fun, and this team has some heart, and I definitely have some positive feelings, going towards the future.
I think the tone for this game was set pre-game when Vic and I headed out to the parking lot.
Yes.
We hung out with some guys. We hung out with Garth. Had a little bite to eat with him. We hung out with Rod, his brother Rick, Rod's wife Marie. Got some good food out there, some ribs. That was the tone setter, right? We went and spent some time with the fans. We got to see their perspective, and then we got to come in here and watch a pretty decent game.
We did. I think definitely. Again, I think the fans are a big part of this. It's one of the reasons where Gruden said when they cut the lead to 33-30, and they're wondering why not go for an onside kick here, and they kicked it deep. His reason was the crowd was really into it. We figured we'd pin them back, the crowd, in the black hole, and we make one stop, and we're in business. But unfortunately, Pat Mahomes is pretty good, and even today he had some really some bad overthrows. But even despite that, he showed why he's the real deal and probably Rookie of the Year and maybe even MVP this year. Just
he's not a rookie.
I'm sorry,
not a rookie,
but MVP. But just made a bunch of great plays on the stretch, and they couldn't cover Travis Kelce either. So that definitely hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, and when they scored that touchdown, Marcel Aitman's first career touchdown, the kind of touchdown you expect out of him, right?
Yeah,
that he boxed it out. 6:46 left in the game. So, I mean, I know the defense here has not been great, but at that point, I didn't have any issue really with that decision. I mean, I thought that citing the crowd as the reason for it maybe been a little weird, but right. I didn't have any issue with that decision. I mean, you hope that your defense can go ahead and make some plays. I mean, the defense gave up 40 points, but I mean that's kind of what you give up when you're playing against a team like the Chiefs. But I mean they did make a couple of plays here.
Right. My thought was you got to go for it. You get a chance to win the game. And if you don't get the onside kick, then they'll have about the 50. Make your stop there. You can still make a stop. You're making.
You might have more time.
Right. I just think you got to go for it. I mean, if you got. The momentum was in their favor, the crowd, and I think the Chiefs are kind of, I don't want to say lollygagging, but I think the Chiefs' kind of effort was kind of up and down all day, and they put themselves in a bad spot. But I just think you got to go for it. I think at that point, nothing to lose. You're 2-9. If you don't get it, then oh well. But you actually went for it. I just think that counting on your defense to make a stop against that offense with what you've seen this year from your defense, it's kind of a little, I don't want to say far-fetched, but that's asking a lot. I just think that the Chiefs are really good offensively. I just think that the Raiders probably had overachieved at that point. Like they had in keeping them to 33 at that point, they may have even gotten lucky at a few plays. I just think that was a lot to ask, and obviously didn't work out that way.
Yeah, as it went, the Chiefs go 10 plays, 75 yards, and with 1:54 left, Pat Mahomes to Conley for the 2-yard touchdown. And the Raiders did give themselves a chance. They got down, and they smartly kicked the field goal, the 44-yard field goal with 30 seconds left. And, an onside kick from from Daniel Carlson that they had a shot at it, but it hadn't gone. There were, when you look at it, there's guys that they're right there with the ball, but hadn't gone 10 yards yet, so they couldn't grab it yet. But it was a kick that gave him a chance.
Unlike Seabass, who was terrible at those kind of kicks. I mean, this kid, I think he's become automatic. I mean, if he was out there, he's going to make it. And not only that, he makes nice kickoffs, nice onside kick there. I just think he's really taking a big step forward to getting the job next year.
Yeah, Eddie Pinheiro
up in trouble, but you know what? He got a full year's salary of it. I'm sure he's got enough hype and get a chance somewhere else, and that might be a competition in training camp. But I mean, you gotta love what Carlson's done. If you're John Gruden and the staff and even the fans, I mean, he's been money.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the defense. You saw Tahir Whitehead forcing a fumble on the first play of the game, and that was, that was such a weird play. Like, you see this ball get squeezed in there to Travis Kelce, and you're like, how the hell did he catch that? Right. And you're like, oh, well, it's going to be that kind of day, and then boom, all of a sudden you've got Tahir Whitehead forcing a fumble. The Raiders
he also made a great play in that 3rd and 9. He had great pressure. I mean, he made some plays today, and I know he's felt like he's been like a big-time player all year. I disagree a little bit, but I like his enthusiasm. I like his energy. I think that was a moment there where he was getting all fired up and in the black hole and make that stop. I'm sure that's why they got him. That's why they paid him the money they did. I think he's the kind of guy who can make those plays. So maybe he can build off this and kind of have a nice finish to the year. But, there's been a few far plays before that, though.
Yeah, and we saw Carl Joseph making some big hits again. And I know he thought he was actually celebrating. He thought he had the stop. He made the stop on third down on the goal line. Then he thought he had the stop on 4th down. And but Spencer Ware did manage to get his way into the end zone. But still, another positive step in the right direction for Carl Joseph.
And not only that, but besides those 2 plays he made against the run, he made a great read on the ball, made a great jump on the 1 touchdown pass. Yeah, but the guy just threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
That was undefendable.
Yeah, I mean, he read it perfectly and made a great break on the ball. He was right there, and man, that ball was humming. So I just again a nice step up again for Carl Joseph, who's kind of overcame a rough start to the year, a little benching, a little trade rumors, but he showed he has some plays in him. He can make some plays.
Yeah, I mean, the key with him is, I think, if you can get him to be a guy that can maybe line up on some slot receivers and whatnot, you just can't put him on tight ends.
No.
He can't guard tight ends. I mean, if you try to put him up there against Travis Kelce, I mean, Kelce's going to kill him. Yeah. And that's the thing, is you got to learn what your players. You can't just, okay, well, he's a safety, he needs to be able to. No, he is what he is, and you got to put him in the right position to succeed, and they're starting to do that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think for him, obviously, if being comfortable is what's led to this, maybe getting more comfortable in the system, kind of getting he's had more hits than the last month or so I've seen the first couple of years. Yeah. So I think that's a very positive sign. That's what it was out of college. He's a big hitter, and now you're seeing that today. And again, all you're looking for him is to have a role. I mean, I'm not sure how big a role, but if he can make plays and have a role on this team going forward, then that's a huge positive.
All right, you look at the offense, and I mean, obviously 33 points. We know that the Chiefs are not a good defense, but still, you score 33 on these guys. Derek Carr, 29 of 38 for 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And those numbers kind of got a boost later in the game as they opened it up a little bit more. I know that the yards per attempt, the yards per completion were pretty low early on, but really they were able to open it up later on in the game. On the ground, 171 yards rushing. I mean, Jalen Richard, 6 carries, 95 yards. Obviously, the big story in terms of the running game is that each of their 3 running backs fumbled. And actually, you add Derek Carr into the mix, he fumbled too. So all 4 of their ball carriers had a fumble. Derek Carr, obviously, a strip sack. That one they did recover, though. But all 3 of their running backs lose a fumble, and that kind of negates what was a pretty good day for them on the ground.
And those running backs are all historically pretty sure-handed, so it's kind of a far-fetched deal if those going to each have a fumble and kind of cost them the game. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but those 3 fumbles, I'm sure it's a much different ball game.
Yep. But maybe we mentioned the Carr. His outing, Jordy Nelson kind of reappears.
Came back from retirement. How about that? Came out of retirement, had a big day.
10 catches, 97 yards, and he was another guy. It was a lot of short passes early on, but eventually,
nice catch down the field over his shoulder. Just looked definitely more active than he has of late. So I'm sure he's feeling better. But I'm sure he's read all the things about he's washed up, nothing left, bad move. So it's good to have some pride if you're a veteran.
Yep, another big day for Jared Cook. 7 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. He does well against these Chiefs. 3rd straight game with a touchdown, career high now 6 touchdowns in the season. Making a push for a Pro Bowl bid, I would think, and
some money. He's going to be a free agent next year. I think if the Raiders had an interest in bringing him back, they would have talked to him by now, and they haven't. So for him, I think he's looking at just getting as much as he can off the market, and I think he'll do pretty well.
But on the other side, the other tight end, a big day for tight ends.
Really
Travis Kelce.
He's pretty good.
That guy is awesome. 12 catches, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that was almost had a third touchdown, but that one was called back when they said Reggie Nelson's finger touched him while he was on the ground. But man, that guy, he's pretty impossible to defend. He's special.
Yeah, and they can't cover tight ends anyway, so a guy like that was really gifted. I mean, he could have probably had 20 catches if they wanted to, but if they had to. But, yeah, he's an elite player and definitely going to be a problem for him and Mahomes. Like Gruden said, he thinks those guys must live together. Their chemistry is so good, and just those guys are in sync. And just it's a big reason why this team's going to be able to go far. Even without Kareem Hunt, they're going to be able to go far.
You look at Mahomes and his final stat line, 23 of 38, 295, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, no sacks. And I walk away from that saying he left a lot out on the field. He had quite a few throws that he overthrew, quite a few, some open guys that he missed. I mean, he could have had a long touchdown to Tyreek Hill. He could have had another long touchdown. As good as he was, also their leading rusher, 9 carries, 52 yards. As good as he was, he left some out there.
As that bazooka, you got to tone it down sometimes because to overthrow Tyreek Hill, who's breaking free, it's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't close. I mean, he threw a bullet down there and it was way over his head. So just, yeah, the thing about, like I think Durkin said this, as good as he is this year, he's going to get better. I mean, that's the thing. When he gets more familiar, more comfortable, it kind of tones things down a little bit and gets a better read on things. This is kind of the floor for him, which is kind of astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, the surprise upset of the day, Tyreek Hill, 6 targets, only 1 catch, 13 yards. Now, he did have 2 carries. He had a 33-yard carry and then another 4-yard carry on that little kind of pitch back, whatever. But
he had a big drop on the third down play
did.
when the Raiders were coming back. That was it was open, kind of got past the safeties. So that was a big drop for them. But, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs did not play well, but they played well enough. And the Raiders, I think, at least gives them some hope and some positive energy going forward, at least to finish out this year.
Yeah, and it seemed like they're in a better mood. They're having fun. They're playing reasonably good football. And I mean, that's if they had kept going in the direction they were going, this was going to be. It already is kind of hard to watch, but it was going to get really bad. But they're in a better mind frame, and they're at least playing some watchable football.
Yeah, to their credit, I mean, they got embarrassed by the Niners. I mean, it's the worst loss possible, national TV, non-competitive against a terrible team, and they didn't check out. I mean, some guys, that game didn't play well, and you could question their effort. But after that, the veterans, I think, at least took some ownership, and they kind of looked at each other and, you know what, we can't go out like this. So they've all played better, and again, like Derek said afterwards, you're having fun. If you're going to lose. At least this is a game you grew up playing. At some point, you played it for love, not for money. Just go back to enjoying it, and then whatever happens, happens. So I just think that today it was kind of infectious. The fans kind of could feel the energy, and it was a nice day at the ballpark. I mean, it was a loss. I hate the phrase moral victories. I won't call this one, but it definitely was. It was a nice change from the rest of the season so far.
Yep. Well, and then hey, if we want to talk about maybe the best news of the day, Arizona Cardinals. They go into Green Bay, go into Lambeau, and they beat the Packers.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's probably. I mean, if you're looking for positive signs and stuff, to play well, fairly entertaining, and still lose, and then have the Cardinals go on the road and beat the Packers, get Mike McCarthy fired. I mean, that's good stuff for the Raiders because it all of a sudden it moves them back up into it's between now them and the Niners are tied at 2-10 as in this fight for the number 1 overall pick. So hey, a good day there, and the Bears lost in overtime to Giants. So right. we are looking for positive signs. We got a couple.
So the draft stock improved in 2 places. You might be picking second now, and then the Cowboys pick is a little lower. So yeah, those are good things. I mean, I know Raider fans are trying to find a positive, and those are good things. I just think that it's going to be rough. The rest of the schedule is not easy. I just think you got to find the positives where you can and get through this somehow.
All right. Well, that'll wrap up this week's show, and we're looking forward to next week. We'll go head around check out the tailgates again next week.
We have to now because they played better. So now it's become like I think it's tied to our going out there and getting some ribs.
All right. So if you got some good food, just let us know.
We're hungry.
All right. We'll talk to you guys again later.